The Packers win. The Green Bay Packers have beaten the Chicago Bears and are now in the playoffs. I want to say right off the bat, thank you to all the Bears fans that voted in my poll, helped raise my engagement, helped me get out there. It means a lot, and we are all football fans here. We rib each other, we razz each other, but ultimately we try and respect each other's teams. And for the future of the Bears, we just want to say out right off the bat that if you keep Justin Fields, you'll be in a much better position than if you go after crybaby Caleb Williams, who is not the winning story. And you don't want to restart that progress that you made over the last couple years. Stick with Justin Fields, and you'll be far better off, even though he didn't necessarily play out that well today. But the Packers win and are in the playoffs. And who would have thought that going into the season that the Packers would be in the playoffs without Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers would be sitting on the couch? Guess he got injured this year, but let's be honest. Even if Aaron Rodgers had played the full year behind that Jets offensive line, still wouldn't have made the playoffs. Still wouldn't have won in the division that they're in. So it's like, yeah, you can say, like, oh, it's a lot of season for the Jets, but was it really? They never would have won anything with Aaron Rodgers this year. Maybe next year if they build a team further, but I'm getting lost in the weeds. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Let's get into the Packers beating the Bears. Now, the Bears started off well for the most part. Justin Fields was accurate. He was completing everything, but he just wasn't doing enough. He only had like 27 rushing yards today, which for somebody like Fields against a team and a defense like the Green Bay Packers is paltry in what you would expect. You would expect him to have much more. You would have expected him to be a real game changer in this game, and he really wasn't. The Packers did a great job of shutting down his best receivers in DJ Moore and Cole Kmet for a large portion of the game. And the Packers just played a better game throughout. Sure, they gave up points, and there were many chances for them to really pull away, but that never happened. But there were also many plays where the refs tried to screw the Packers so hard. And if you're being an honest Bears fan, you have to admit that there are several times in this game where the refs just sided with the Bears. Or properly that challenge that the Packers had in the third quarter that was not a catch by rule. Yes, the ball can move and the ball can touch the ground, but the guy never had or full hands on it. The ball clearly flopped out of his hands. He clearly hit the ground without having control of the ball, and that's it. Then that touchdown catch that was taken away from Bull Mountain, he caught the ball. Yes, it was moving, but as you saw him rolling over, he clearly had possession of the ball, held it to his knee, the ball wasn't moving at all, and his feet hit the white line. The ball was still clearly in his possession, and then the ball hit the ground. Once his feet hit the ground or hit the white line, and that ball is pinned to his leg and not moving, that's a catch. Anything after that, where they say, oh, the ball fell out of the ground, like, no, his feet touch out of bounds. He is out of bounds, and he had control of the ball. The ball was clearly pinned to his leg, and there's just more points taken away from the Pack. There were probably a couple other ancillary penalties that could have been called, a couple of major holding penalties that were missed here and there, and to those of you who thought there should have been a penalty called or for roughing the passer or unnecessary roughness against Justin Fields, when he clearly, Jonathan Owens hit him shoulder to his shoulder. His head snapped back without the helmet ever hitting his head, and the head banged off the ground and snapped back. Clearly no contact was ever made with his head, and he was clearly concussed. The fact that he was allowed to remain in the game after that is really a disservice to him. I mean, how many times have we seen players have their heads snap back like that and get immediately taken out of the game? But Justin Fields was still able to do another play after that. It's like, he's clearly concussed a little bit. Sure, maybe he wasn't completely dazed and everything, but he was clearly concussed. I mean, you don't come away with the head hitting the ground like that and snap back without some sort of whiplash. But the Packers at the end of the day were just a better team. Jordan Love was fantastic today. Maybe he had one or two balls that you could say he overthrew or underthrown, but he was perfect today. He was as perfect today as you could be, other than that fumble, which was really unfortunate, and he was just trying to get the first down and win the game more. So it is on him for sure. But other than that, he was flawless today with 300 yards, 2 passing touchdowns, tied for the second most passing touchdowns in the league this year, only a couple behind Dak Prescott. And yes, Brock Purdy didn't play today, so that played a part in it. But Jordan Love had a great first season as a starting quarterback for the Green Bay Packers, better statistically than Aaron Rodgers, and you can say that Aaron Rodgers had the far more experienced team with better along wide receivers, but the wide receiving group that the Packers have right now just works. It just works well. They're getting better week to week. They're getting stronger. That offensive line is really strong, and Aaron Jones, who can say has made a better impact on the Packers these last couple weeks than Aaron Jones? Yes, Jordan Love has been fantastic, basically ever since the game against the Chargers. He's lit it up basically week after week after week. But Aaron Jones is healthy at the right time. He's had 3 straight games over 100 yards. He looks strong. He's efficient. He's gaining like 4 or 5 yards a carry, it seems. And he's just playing well. And A.J. Dillon, maybe he won't play next week against the Cowboys, but who knows? Maybe he could fill in. I mean, yeah, he's probably hurting with that broken thumb. I wouldn't want to play in a broken thumb for sure, especially in this kind of game where you have to hold on to a ball as many times as the running back does. But maybe he can come back and play. And Christian Watson, yeah, I made fun of him for his injury, but it's like, I know he's probably just one of those scenarios where he's just cursed with chronic hamstring injuries. But it's like, yeah, he's a great player and all when he's healthy, and you can't put that kind of money into a guy like that. You just can't, and see him only play 6-7 games out of the year. I mean, you can't pay someone millions of dollars and see him only play half the season. You just can't do that. It's not something you do. If you want to be successful, you don't want to pay players like that. And it sucks because I like Christian Watson a lot. He is a good player. Seems like an overall good guy and everything, but he's clearly not the answer. And should the Packers have the opportunity to trade him in the offseason, I would take that opportunity for sure. And like I said, the Packers won. They played well, and other those couple instances where the refs just were on the Bears side and just totally screwed them, Packers had a pretty darn good game today, and I'm very happy with the result. And just looking to the playoffs, the juicy playoff storylines are perfect. The Packers going into Dallas, playing against their former coach in Dallas with house money for the Packers. To be honest, they've been playing well for most of the last couple of weeks, and they have a good shot to win next weekend. Now, it's going to be a very tough match, but I'm not going to say, and maybe I'll pick the Cowboys, but Packers, don't sell them short. So if they keep playing like they have been, especially offensively, the Packers can beat that Dallas secondary. Then you have Detroit holding their first playoff game in Ford Field against the LA Rams, playing against their former quarterback. Jared Goff is playing against his former team as the Lions quarterback. Rams with a great chance to beat the Lions as well. The Lions losing Sam Laporta today. Who knows if he's actually injured or seriously injured, but it doesn't sound good for him. And if you're Dan Campbell, I know you want your players to play. I know you don't want them to rest you, but watching Sam Laporta go down is just one of those scenarios where it's just like, can totally be avoided. I mean, it really sucks that he's hurt, but I mean, it's just like, man, that could really hurt them in this game. And then you got Tampa Bay and Philly. Philly beating Tampa Bay earlier in the year. They played each other in the playoffs before, a couple years ago, the year before they went to the playoff, year before they went to the Super Bowl, I should say. And yeah, a lot of good scenarios, especially in the NFC. Haven't really gone into the AFC matchups too much, but going to be a great weekend of football next week. I can't wait to see it. The playoffs are finally here, and the Packers are in the playoffs, and Aaron Rodgers is on the sideline looking at a future that is very, to me, it's kind of dark for the Jets. It is. Yes, they have a chance to improve in the offseason, but they have a lot of things to improve on. on that offensive line, and probably not enough that can be done in one off season. And who knows what's going to happen with Aaron Rodgers? Is he going to come back the way it was before the injury? We don't know. We won't know until next season. But the Packers win, and again, I thank you to all the Bears fans that chimed in on my poll and commented. Like I said, we razz each other, but we ultimately try and respect each other's fan bases. I'm not going to shit on the Bears. I mean, you had a long stretch of unsuccess against the Packers, but the Packers went through that too against the Bears for the longest time. I mean, up until Brett Favre, or the Packers were like down 30 games in the head-to-head matchup between the two teams, and now the Packers have 11 more wins in that series over the Bears. I mean, yeah, it's a very long streak, but things can change in the future. The Bears do have somewhat of a bright future. They just need to make the right decision with their quarterback. And if I'm being honest, Jordan or Justin Fields is the best option. Don't go through that process again of trying to work up a quarterback, get him ready, get him confident, especially with a quarterback like crybaby Caleb Williams. Yeah, I know you can show emotion, but come on. That was not a good look when they got beat earlier in the year, and he was crying with his mom. I mean, frankly, that should never have been seen by people, by the rest of the people. It should have been a private thing. It never should have been seen by cameras and stuff. So maybe I'm being not too fair, but Caleb Williams hasn't had a great year this year. Sure, he had a great first couple of games, but then once we got into the meat of the Pac-12 schedule, it was anything but a Heisman quarterback. But Bears, if you make the right decision, you can be a threat in the future in the NFC North. Frankly, the Vikings have the most dire situation going ahead. I mean, and Packers are going to be right up there with the Lions next year. Bears maybe have the chance that they make the right decisions with quarterback and just their roster going forward. I'm not sure Matt Eberflus is the answer at head coach, but there's wisdom in not changing your head coach all the time. But before I ramble on too much, the Packers win. Bears gave it their best shot, although the Packers were clearly the better team. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. Have a great day. God bless, and go Pack, go. Packers can win next weekend for sure. Peace out.